Neil to answer at all, except for Chain to the Rocks. And then Blood Baron is hard to answer without giving up 2 cards. And cards like Read the Bones and Underworld Connections can actually be a serious, serious problem in a setup like this. And even Elspeth, too, in terms of just causing some problems.
Yeah. So Harrison on the play as our 4th seed here. He'll start off with a Temple of Triumph and Scry to the bottom. And being on the play, a huge deal for Neil.
Oh, yeah. Outside of the usual tempo, there's a Boros Reckoner Lifebane Zombie little sub-game. Whichever one comes down first, real important.
So Thoughtseize from Harrison reveals a hand of 3 more lands, 2 mountains and a Sacred Foundry, War Leader's Helix, Chandra's Phoenix, and Ash Zealot.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a real attrition-y type setup where both players are just throwing their cards at the other person. Chandra's Phoenix, one of the most important cards in Neil's deck because it dodges all the removal and the Thoughtseize. Like, it just keeps coming back potentially.
It lines up poorly against Desecration Demon, but it is very good against the rest of Harrison's deck.
Well, it has some advantages against the Desecration Demon.
Yeah, oh, you can...
Yeah, when times are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a source of food, but a lot of things are food for the demon.
So Harrison trying to keep Neil off his early tempo, takes the Ash Zealot. And a Boros Reckoner off the top for Neil.
You might as well play the tap land while the play-in's good.
Yep, and another Thoughtseize off the top for Harrison, which is something of a blessing and a curse in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Neil doesn't have that many high-impact cards, but the life ends up really adding up.
Yeah. Thoughtseize can be really powerful in games where Harrison has a quick either source of card advantage or a quick source of pressure, but they are bad if Harrison allows the game to linger on for very long.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a I gotta play a demon or a Blood Baron in the relatively near future type of situation for Harrison.
Yep.
But if he does, I think he's got a big advantage.
So Harrison looking over the same man he saw last time plus a Boros Reckoner.
Dude, Thoughtseize is a messed up Magic card.
It is. And he selects Chandra's Phoenix.
So what do you make of that? Taking the Phoenix over the Reckoner there.
I would imagine it means he has some fairly
Like
fast thing to put into play. Yeah.
Like if Bile Blight, he just doesn't want to take the 2 damage from the Phoenix with haste, whereas now he can. Is a Hero's Downfall, sure.
Yeah.
And it looks like he does have a demon if he can find 1 more land.
I was going to say the things that rationalize that play in my mind are either a quick clock or a 3rd Thoughtseize, and he actually has both Desecration Demon and Thoughtseize in hand.
Sure.
Because if you can take War Leader's Helix, then it's actually fairly good to remove the Chandra's Phoenix potentially.
We're going to see the demon come to the party?
I think so.
I mean, the alternative is, of course, Thoughtseize into Read the Bones, but that is a lot of damage. That's 4 life plus 4 from the War Leader's Helix you'd eat.
And you know that Chandra's Phoenix is coming back in this sequence as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, no, but you get to take the Phoenix.
Oh, sure, but then any burn spell off the top for Neil is now you're back in the same hole.
Exactly. At least the demon makes progress.
Yeah, I like this play from Harrison, and you see him land the demon here.
Now, what Harrison doesn't know is that Neil drew a Stormbreath Dragon.
So, War Leader's Helix at the end of the turn puts Neil up to 24, Harrison down to 12. Neil gets back the Chandra's Phoenix.
Chandra would be proud.
And Lightning Strike the draw. So we'll see how Neil wants to proceed here. Not a lot of upside in Stormbreath Dragon this turn as it can attack.
Yeah, one possibility is to play the Phoenix, pass the turn, then tap the demon with the Phoenix, then Lightning Strike Harrison's head, get back the Phoenix, and then drop the dragon and get in there for 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts Harrison all the way down to 5, with Neil potentially threatening 2 creatures, eventually 3 creatures, the following turn.
Yeah. It is a risky play if Harrison leaves up mana for a potential removal spell, as you're giving up a lot of tempo to generate this. So a lot of this is just going to depend on what Harrison does with his turn. As you see him lead off with a 3rd copy of Thoughtseize this game.
Wow.
And now Neil contemplating if he wants to Lightning Strike in response and lose the Stormbreath Dragon.
He decides he will let him have the option, which is a fine play because if he lightning strikes in response, he still loses the dragon, and now he doesn't get to do the Phoenix Desecration Demon play. But Neil taking a real tight line here.
Harrison has done a lot of Neil's work for him this game, but Neil really light on resources now. He's going to take Lightning Strike.
Classic pay 2, save 3. But it also stops the Phoenix activation, which is potentially a lot more given the state of affairs with the Desecration Demon.
So when Harrison announces combat here, Neil goes ahead and sacrifices the Chandra's Phoenix.
What do you think about just letting him attack if he attacks? You could always potentially tap the demon on your turn.
And there's ultimate price. And that's, you know, I understand Neil kind of playing out the turns this way, but it just seems, given that Neil took your Lightning Strike instead of your Stormbreath Dragon, the odds that it's good there are really low.
Yeah.
I think that I would have preferred. I think what I would have done is just Lightning Strike in response to the Thoughtseize. Just don't give him the option of doing it. But once Harrison just passes with a lot of mana up, I think it's worth trying to find a different path than just casting your Stormbreath Dragon into the maw of all that untapped mana.
Now, if you're Harrison, do you read the bones or not?
Well, I don't think that I would. Harrison will. I don't think that I would because I feel like Harrison's a fairly
big favorite here.
Fairly big favorite, and going from 10 to 8 is a pretty risky proposition against a deck that has a lot of sources of 4 points of damage.
Now, Neil actually is saved 2 damage as the Mutavault cannot attack here, thanks to Harrison wanting to hold up Bile Blight. The demon. Is he going to get in there with the demon? He is.
So Neil attacks down to 17.
Yeah, he knows there's only one more Stormbreath Dragon in the deck.
Yeah. Boros Charm, Lightning Strike, back-to-back draws.
Wow. Man, if that Lightning Strike had gone upstairs.
Yeah.
It is really tight, though, because even now, if Neil can assemble any more damage at all, he will miraculously pull this one out. But if not, I mean, he's on a, basically, he's got one more draw phase after this because that Blood Baron's going to come down.
All right, Neil goes ahead, uses the Lightning Strike on Harrison, knocks Harrison down to 5, gets back Chandra's Phoenix.
And if he can get this Phoenix crack in, obviously he knows he's got the game, but it's going to eat a Bile Blight for certain.
There's Bile Blight. And I actually would have led with Boros Charm here instead of the Lightning Strike, as now War Leader's Helix is no longer a kill that turn.
Good point. This is probably one of those spots where he's thinking, oh, I want him to think he's safer than he is.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think you got that kind of time.
Yeah.
I think you got to be as mana efficient as possible.
Harrison with a deep sigh, plays Blood Baron, knows if he can get through one more turn, he's in really good shape. And now Harrison has to contemplate if he wants to attack with that demon, knowing that Chandra's Phoenix is in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, and if he does attack, it'll cost him the game.
Yeah.
Although, does Neil have a Mutavault?
He does. He needs an additional land. He still needs another land.
Yes. Yeah. So the demon actually makes it so that he does need one more land in order for in order to win on board.
So Neil needs a variety of burn spells up top
or
untapped land. Yeah. And it is a mountain.
So if he Boros Charms, he can win here.
Yep. He can Boros Charm, get back the Phoenix, use the Mutavault to animate itself, sack it to the demon, and finish off the game.
Looks like Neil's got the line.
Boros Charm to the head, knocks Harrison down to 1.
Impressive game from Neil Hartman.
Chandra's Phoenix back. Chandra's Phoenix played. Mutavault animated. Sacrifice to Desecration Demon and an attack for lethal.
Crazy game.
Neil Hartman, this guy is on a heater, quickly up a game in the finals. And Harrison had a lot of really good tools to work with that game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Fire shoes, fire drinker. Neil's on a heater, huh, with his red-white burn deck.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So we're going to be coming back to the booth momentarily. Patrick Sullivan, Patty Shaven, finals of the Star City Games open here in Seattle. Neil Hartman quickly up a game. It is trivia time before we move on to the sideboarding. The way that this works is that Patrick over here will ask a question. Well, I'm explaining the rules.
Yep.
We can switch up this role next time.
No. Go on, please. Let
Patrick
me
will-
dance for you like the little monkey that I am.
Patrick over here will ask a question. You will tweet the answer to that question at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium.
Only if you want to win, though.
Only if you want to win. One of the correct responders, not the first person to answer, but simply one of the correct responders will be chosen at random to receive a full year of Star City Games premium content. Take it away.
All right. For 1 year of premium, 1 year free and clear, tweet at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. And this is a slightly different way than we've ever done the trivia before. Tweet at us. If you can successfully tweet at us using only the name SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium without putting anything else in your tweet, that is correct. It's a very sort of existential trivia question.
Okay.
What is our hashtag and Twitter handle?
Okay.
That is the trivia question.
So tweet that answer at SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium, I suppose, and one of you will be
this one?
one of you will be selected at random for a full year of Star City Games
I
premium
bet we'll
content.
get a lot of wrong answers.
I think that is in play here. Moving on to the sideboard here. Neil Hartman, 4 copies of Skullcrack, 4 copies of Fire Drinker Crusader, 2 Beta Conflagration, a Chain of the Rocks, 2 Museum Mortars, 2 Spark Troopers.
No, what did you want? Give us a pronunciation guide for Polukranos, Polukurus.
Palakronos is what I've been told.
I call it Polukranos also, but you know what's tough? Just had lunch with Aaron Forsyth and Eric Lauer, and they're using the plate. They're just like, yeah, how about that Palakranus?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know you don't believe for a moment that that's really how it's pronounced. And it sticks in my head.
Well, when you make the cards, you're going to take a lot of liberties with how they're pronounced, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, did you end up playing a blue deck with Hat in it? With Hat? Gabriel Nassif? No, Vidalcan Shackles. Oh, yeah, sure, Hat.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
Hat.
Neil here with a couple of options here. Depends what kind of path he really wants to take. He can bring in Museum Mortars and Faded Conflagration if he wants a little bit more removal for Blood Baron, which I think he's in the market for.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to go full beatdown and bring in the Fire Drinker Crusaders. And it's also possible that he's going to want the Skull Cracks as well as an additional source of burn, as a more of a burn plan against all of Harrison's creature removal, and a way to give him sort of a backdoor way of racing Blood Baron to Viscopa.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about that Fire Drink Crusader is that it's a great tempo play. You know that Harrison's going to be able to deal with a lot of your threats. The question is, do you care? See, I actually think Boros Reckoner might be the one you want to cut, just to limit your exposure to these Lifebane zombies.
Oh, and Harrison has, BioBlight's a great answer.
Yep.
He doesn't really care that
Heroes
much about
Downfall.
Doesn't really care that much.
Doomblade.
Doesn't really care that much about Boros Reckoner's text box either. So
It's a trained Armadon with a small drawback.
right. So and Neil also has 3 Mutavaults amongst his lands. So pretty strong incentive to take out Boros Reckoner if you can afford it.
Definitely. On Harrison's side, we see a few interesting options. He's got Obsidat for sure is great. I like Sin Collector.
Oh yeah.
I want to know what is he working with, and I want to know how quick he can drop them. Put that War Leader's Helix into the graveyard. Beyond that, what do you think about Duress?
I am a huge fan. If I'm in Harrison's seat, the plan that I would go with, if I was Neil, the plan I would be most scared of is bring in your Duresses, bring in your Obsidats, bring in your Sin Collectors, and cut any creature that's targetable by Searing Blood. So get those Pack Rats out of the deck, get the Lifebane Zombies out of the deck. That setup
even
is...
because you figure he's going to take... Well, if you know that he's going to take the Lifebane Zombie out, maybe you can keep the Boros... I guess the Boros Reckoner still just doesn't do anything.
Its upside is so low, but I think that I've played... with standard lists very similar to the one that Neil has. The way that I lose most of my games to decks like Mono Black Devotion and to decks like Black White Midrange is having my hand attacked and then a quick, powerful threat like Desecration Demon or Blood Baron to Viscopa. Trying to sculpt that game plan, I think, is the best path.
What do you think about Thoughtseize? How many do you want to keep, if any?
I think 4 is still fine.
Okay, so literally just 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Duress.
Yeah.
Get her done.
Yeah, just, Neil's probably going to de-emphasize his creatures to some extent here in the face of all of your removal. Try to become more of a pure burn strategy. The discard goes way up in value in that world, and Neil is still not really flush with answers for Desecration Demon or Blood Baron, even though he's bringing in a couple more answers to Blood Baron. And especially if you're bringing in 4 Duresses and 2 Sin Collectors, you can really go after all of his answers to those kind of threats and take the game away with one of your heavy hitters.
So that's why you need to be fire drinking.
Yeah, and in that world, Fire Drinker's Hater becomes a lot better. So there's definitely an ebb and flow, and based on what Harrison does, Neil would want to do something different. There's definitely that kind of sideboarding going on. But I think Pack Rats and Lifebane Zombies are just... before pre-Born of the Gods, they were already pretty dodgy in the matchup.
Yep.
Now that Searing Blood is a threat, they are actively bad in a lot of spots.
Definitely. Now, do you think there's any chance that you want Revoke Existence? Hitting Chain to the Rocks has the potential to be a real great play, but you don't really have any good options besides that.
Yeah, I don't think you would go down the road, especially since Chain of the Rocks doesn't even answer Blood Baron of Vizkopa. If it was an answer to both of his quality threats, maybe it's worth having a card that narrow.
It's not going to hit the Obsidian most of the time either. Well, some of the time.
Yeah. And Harrison draws opening hand. Some lands, creature removal, a couple Blood Barons.
Yeah.
Solid opening.
Yeah, he's a little. He does have 3 land too. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what he wanted to see, as long as he doesn't get run over. Both players, it looks like, are a decent mix.
Yep. A turn 1 Godless Shrine from Harrison and a Boros Gilgate from Neil.
Neil might be a little heavy on mana.
Swamp from Harrison, still no play.
Wow, Chandra Pyromaster, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That is exactly what Neil wanted to see. That is a real tough threat for Harrison if he doesn't have a Hero's Downfall.
Desecration Demon is also pretty good at taxing Chandra.
Oh, sure, sure.
I actually have had not positive experiences with Chandra against Mono Black Devotion. It's fine, but it's not as good as you may think on first blush.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As you see, an untapped Sacred Foundry and a Chandra's Phoenix from Neil. That's going to be met with ultimate price.
Yeah, its highest utility is often just making a Blood Baron unable to block.
Right. It also means you can finish it off with Lightning Strike, which is nice.
And the source of card advantage is not for naught.
Yeah. A Sacred Foundry tapped, and another Chandra's Phoenix. And that is going to be met with Bile-Blight. Harrison draws. It is Sin Collector.
So he does not have the 5th land for the Blood Barons, but when he does, there will be 3 in a row.
Reveals Mountain, Boros Charm, Lightning Strike, Chandra, Pyromaster, and Fated Conflagration.
Now, is there any way he doesn't take the Fated Conflagration here to protect the first Blood Baron that comes to the party?
Well, the first Blood Baron's already in a little bit of trouble because next turn, Neil can play Chandra, and then Chandra plus Lightning Strike answers the first Blood Baron. So it's already a little bit fuzzy. It's still probably best to take the Fated Conflagration because allowing Neil to scry for 2 is a huge deal. But
plus, it gives him 1 extra draw off the Chandra.
Yeah.
Or +1 counter.
Right. So, I do like this, although this Chandra is going to be trouble for Harrison the way his hand is set up unless he finds Hero's Downfall pretty soon. Also, keep in mind that these Chandras plussing are also going to allow Neil to get his Chandras back from the graveyard, his Chandra's Phoenixes.
Definitely. Curious, so he plays the Mountain instead of the Mutavault. Chandra ripping apart the Sin Collector, damage to Harrison, getting mana, getting back the Phoenix. The Chandra looking real good right now.
Yep. And
Conley Woods would be proud.
And Obsidian off the top.
Wow, talk about a laundry list of things that are good when you have 5 mana.
And Obsidian's especially good if he can get to it because Neil's hand is set up to handle Blood Baron effectively, but not Obsidian. But it requires a second white mana before Harrison can even do that. And now Neil's hand is pretty stocked.
So you just get in there with the Phoenix at this point, right?
I would just I would play
Wait.
two Phoenixes, attack, and then plus Chandra after combat. If Harrison uses a removal spell, cool, and if not, that's cool too. I would definitely not use Chandra first, as now the tempo might get a little messed up if Harrison does play a removal spell, you lose one of your Phoenixes for free. One Chandra's Phoenix. And Harrison's hand is stocked with burn.
Yeah, Neil Hartman is just loaded.
Oh yeah, Neil's hand is just juiced right now. And Neil passes the turn. He may be trying to just protect his Planeswalker now. And here's one Blood Baron as Neil finds a 5th land, but not a second source of white.
Yeah, but this is just... This is just going to match up poorly with Lightning Strike about to take it down.
And here's another thing, if you're not that familiar with the red-white burn list, if you've seen Chandra in green-red monsters or Jund monsters, you're used to it just it zeroing and that kind of being his jam. Sometimes you plus it if you want to clear out a blocker for a turn. In the burn list, this ultimate is lethal a good percentage of the time. It's just going to flip. Yeah. So that's a huge threat that Harrison needs to also be concerned with. So Harrison pluses, shoots the Blood Baron, shoots Harrison. Lightning Strike finishes off the Blood Baron. Animates Mutavault and comes trucking in for 4.
So interestingly, does not send the Ash Zealot he kept.
Well, here's the thing. If Harrison taps out for Blood Baron here, he just dies. Because this Boros Charm is going to knock Harrison down to 5.
Yep.
He can make the Chandra the Blood Baron unable to block, use Ash Zealot, and attack for lethal.
He does not Boros Charm yet, though. He still has it, though, with a...
He has all the tools.
Yep.
And in fact, he doesn't even need to play the Ash Zealot.
Yeah, just Boros Charm to the face. Chandra for unblockable. It is tricky, though, because it's easy to forget about the unblockable aspect.
Yeah. Or he could also just cast Chandra's Phoenix and plus it and use Boros Charm. So he has this covered a bunch of different ways.
Oh, I like it. He just wants to milk this thing. This is his moment. This is his opportunity to shine.
He pluses. Blood Baron unable to block. Harrison falls to 8. Mutavault active. This knocks Harrison to 4.
Dude, I love a man who has the game already locked up in scries. That's
Boros
glory.
Charm, that's exact lethal. And Harrison, Neil Hartman, 2 games to 0. Your Star City Games, Seattle Standard Open champion. You can hear the cheers coming in from the crowd.
Intense.
Congratulations to Neil Hartman. Went through 2 different black-white mid-range decks on his way to the finals. Not a matchup that I would want to play were I playing Burn, but he was able to slog through it. Chandra was incredible that game.
Oh, yeah, and he's got a slightly unusual build. Like, being able to play a little bit more normal of a game looked like it really ended up helping him.
Yeah, I do like having the additional creatures. They're not great all the time against black removal decks. You have spots where they're able to cash in Doom Blades and Ultimate prices, where they otherwise wouldn't be.
Yeah, but the Chandra's Pyromaster combined with Mizium Mortars and Fated Conflagration gave him a real nice element against black-white that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and Neil